Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stump back for another Optc video, and in today's video, we're talking about the Kizuna Clash vs King that is about to release in less than a day's time over here on the global version of Optc. So in today's video, I do have 3 teams to take down each variation for you guys, and each team will be focusing on something different. The first team will be a free-to-play team for you guys. The second team is going to be a high point boosted team, so being able to get lots of ticket drops, and then the final team will be the team that will be focusing on damage and trying to get as much damage output as we possibly can, with a few subs here and there, and some other options for you guys to actually take this event on. So in this Kizuna Clash, we will be farming for Onami and Orobi, which is, they're not a dual unit, I don't think they're a dual unit, as well as King. So there'll also be Super Evolution Skulls for Vinsmoke Sanji, as well as Dracula Mihawk, as this is a bit of an issue with the actual the timeline of OPTC Global. So it seems like we're getting double Kizuna, very similar to how we had double Arena, double Pirate Rumble, double Treasure Map. It's looking like the same for Kizuna Clash. So we do get the Vinsmoke Sanji Super Evolution Skulls, as well as the Dracula Mihawk Skulls. We can also get the character King, Onami, and Orobi from box 2 to 7, as well as those skulls, as I mentioned earlier. And then there's also going to be the assistance quest to get your hands on Charlotte Montador, the Neo one. So I definitely farm him up as he's very, very good. There are a bunch of boosted units. Obviously, the Perisparrow is the main unit here, and he will be showcased in the high ticket team. But he's very, very good. And then we have a bunch of other point boosted characters, or like boosted characters for more damage. And then finally, we have the standards that you can't use in this particular fight. So with that said, let's hop in. Let's find out what they do. And let's check out some teams. So for the first variation is against a quick variation. Shout out to Reddit and Fate of Muffins for the information. I will leave a link to this in the description below. But against the quick variation, we do come up against Quick King. And against Quick King, we will be versing Queen on stage 2. Once we enter the fight, our Slashers, Strikers, and Cerebrals get cooldown. Obviously, you want to try and build a team around DEX units, as DEX are going to be the best units to take this down as they have color affinity. On stage 2, we come up against Queen. Queen gives us 4 turns of silence. Against King on stage 3, we get 99 turns of full immunity, 99 turns of attack down, normal attacks only. Wow, that would suck. 99 turns of attack down, 99 turns of normal attacks only, 3 turns of attack down, and then a question mark in paralysis. Now that paralysis is, I think, a 3-turn paralysis, and then he's also going to change all our orbs to block and lock them for 1 turn. When King dies, he is going to revive with 21% of his HP. He's going to paralyze us for 3 turns and inflict 3 turns of the tap limit. And after level 30, the 3 turns of paralysis on the first lot of paralysis will actually turn into 6 turns of paralysis. So you do want to bring a couple of paralysis removals that can get around that. And for the first team, I do have a free-to-play friendly team. So this particular team is free-to-play. We are utilizing a friend Zoro, but it's led by the new treasure map Komurasaki. So hopefully you guys farmed her up if you're struggling to find a leader. She's really, really good because she can boost DEX characters by 3.75 and reduce paralysis by 2 turns, where this content is built around paralysis. So she's very, very good at that. Next, we have the new Neo Montador. As mentioned, he is a extra ticket booster as well. He can change our block orbs and unfavorable slots to our own type, and if we're in Kizuna, he removes attack down by 3 turns and 4 turns of damage reduction. So he's going to remove the attack down for us as well as rotate the block orbs, which is really, really strong. He's not going to get boosted from Komurasaki, but it's not the end of the world. Next, we've got the Neo Hachan. Hachan can remove 4 turns of paralysis as well as threshold, but he's mainly here for the paralysis removal on the revive, which is that 3-turn paralysis that gets inflicted. You can replace him with anyone that just does 1 turn of paralysis, or even someone like Legend Nami's really good because she can remove another turn of paralysis as a sailor, and then use Komurasaki as your leader, as they both are 3.75 times captains. Actually, I think 6 plus Nami is actually a 4 times. Next, we've got Kizuna Buggy. Kizuna Buggy is really, really good because he can also rotate block orbs if your captain is Free Spirit, and he does 5 turns of paralysis. Now, we do have a Free Spirit captain, so he is another option for you guys to rotate those block orbs, but Montador does great attack down removal, so he's a really good option. And then finally, we've actually got Kobe on this particular team. Kobe can actually give us a 3-turn attack boost, which is really, really nice. And then because we are running a friend Zoro, we're going to have the high 2.75 times attack boost, orb boost, as well as the color affinity, as we do have Komurasaki on this particular team. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think Komurasaki will trigger Zoro's super typing. And if that is the case, we are going to have to probably find another way around this. or bring a color affinity booster somehow. I will actually have to double check that. Give me 1 second. Alright, so I had a bit of a sus with Zoro super typing, and unfortunately, it's not Komurasaki, it's actually Hiyori. And funny enough, you can actually use Hiyori and Komurasaki on the same team. So, that's pretty weird. I didn't think you'd be able to do that because of the whole being the same person thing. But look, it is what it is. So Hiyori is going to be our attack booster instead of our boy Kobe. She can also rotate block orbs as well. So we have another block orb manipulator, but she's going to boost our attack by 1.75. And with that, we should have color affinity, super typing, a lot of damage as well, which is really, really nice. Unfortunately, we don't really have a way here to get the 5 times captain multiply for Zoro unless we just take damage on the earlier stages. But it should be enough damage regardless. And if there is another character that we can sort of slot onto this team instead, to get like a HP cut or something like that, and also remove paralysis, you could also do that to give yourself a little bit more damage. But that's the free-to-play team. Let's move on to the high point boosted team now. So onto the high point boosted team, we are running limited or Kizuna rare recruit Perospero as our captain. Now Perospero is boosted in this event. He is a 5 times captain to cerebral and driven units, and he increases the ticket chances as well. So we will be using double Perospero. Perospero can actually remove paralysis by 6 turns. So having double of Perospero, we can actually remove that easy peasy. And he also gives us a 2.25 times attack boost, provided we are at max HP. So that way we can get around all of the paralysis with the 2 Perosperos. We have 2 turns of attack boost, so we can get an attack boost for the first stage and attack boost for the res. Next, we've got Montador once again. Montador's here basically just to remove the attack down and the block orb manipulation, but you could probably replace him with someone else moving forward just to get a little bit more damage. But for the meantime, he's going to do really, really well. But for now, for the high point boosted team, he's going to work exceptionally well as he also increases our ticket drops. We have Rayleigh on this particular team for the before the revive. Rayleigh's going to give us a orb boost as well as give us a 3 times chain lock, which is really, really nice. He doubles our orbs, he gives us 3 times a chain lock. That way we can actually do quite a bit of damage with one special. Next, we've got Sanji and Pudding. Sanji and Pudding are going to be our color affinity boosters here. They're also boosted in this particular event. Their color affinities are 2.25 to cerebral units and fighters, but this whole team is actually cerebral, so it works out really, really well. And then finally, we've got Vivi Rebecca V2. Now, Vivi Rebecca, I think, are boosted as well. I think I saw that they were boosted. They might not be. I might be incorrect there, but the main reason I have them here is for their switch ability. Their switch ability can remove special bind on themselves, which is awesome. They also give a chain buff mechanic. And then with their special, they can actually remove bind and special bind by 6 turns, which is great on the queen stage. We can easily remove that, get the chain buff, an attack boost, and an orb boost to our cerebral units, which again, this whole team is. But just make sure that you are the DEX variation when you do switch into these guys, as you do want to be the DEX variation for that final stage. Very, very important that you do have that. And because we are running all cerebrals, we do get all of our cooldowns. Now, because Perospero isn't a quick, a DEX unit, we can't use the Sharks at Perb. So we will be using the Liberal Hind with this particular team. Liberal Hind gives us a 1.6 times attack boost. And with that, we should have plenty of damage to get up and past level 30 easy peasy. So that's going to work out great. That's the high ticket team. Let's move on to the high damage team. So the final DEX team, taking on the quick variation, looks a little bit like this. Now, this team is the high damage output team. Now, we do have Montador still on this particular team, but he can easily be replaced moving forward because Gukimaru can just basically do what he does. You just need to replace him with someone that can remove block orbs, or, like I plan to be doing with this particular team, running a friend Kid. With Kid as a friend captain, we can actually get access to the super typing, which can rotate block orbs, and then we get an attack booster as well. This team's led by Zoro. If you don't have Zoro, you can run Kid and then bring a friend Zoro. Zoro is just going to be really, really good as he's a very high captain. He's also going to remove special bind by 10 turns, and he can give us color affinity as well with his super typing, as well as an orb boost with his special, which is really, really good. Montador, once again, he's here to remove the attack down, and just to give us more tickets. He can also rotate the block orbs, but again, you can easily replace him on this particular team. I don't really know who you'd replace him with, but like just basically any DEX unit should suffice, provided they do meet the requirements to get their cooldowns being a slasher or a slasher cerebral or a striker unit. Next, we got Gukimaru. Gukimaru is actually boosted. He also removes 3 turns of attack down, and so that's what I mean when I'm saying you can easily replace Montador. as you will just sort of get more damage when you replace him. He can remove 3 turns of paralysis as well, so we can easily use him on the first turn, as we are using Nami and Robin with the support of Barto. So Barto can actually remove 3 turns of paralysis once inflicted, and then with Gukimaru, we can easily remove the other 3, and that'll cover us for the 6 turns of paralysis. With Nami and Robin as well, Nami and Robin actually start as a Free Spirit Striker, so that means they actually get their cooldowns as well, which is really, really good, because Free Spirit Strikers and Cerebrals actually get cooldowns, and even if they started as Nico Robin, she's actually a Cerebral unit, which means that she'd get her cooldowns as well. So either way, we're going to get the cooldowns with this particular unit. That way we can also use Bardo, and then with their special, they can remove 10 turns of paralysis, as well as give us an orb boost for that revive. Got to remember, on the revive, you can only tap with 3 characters, so make sure you do have some damage output for that particular revive, and make sure you guys don't use a HP card. So actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we're going to use Nami and Robin before we use Gukimaru, so that might be a little bit tricky moving forward to the higher stages. We might actually need to replace Nami Robin with like a Nami unit, because if you do that HP cut, King's actually going to revive all the way back to max HP, so be very careful there. We actually want to use Nami Robin to remove the paralysis on the first turn, so because of that, we probably don't even need the Bardo support. We could easily just chuck on an extra stat booster, that way we don't have to worry about it too much. On the revive, then, we will use Gukimaru, but I'm sure there is another way around it. I just need to sort of sit down and have a better think about it. Finally, on this team, we do have the dual unit Big Mom. Dual Big Mom starts as a powerhouse striker no matter what, and then she becomes a powerhouse slasher, but her special will give us a base stat increase of 1000, as well as give us a 3.5 times chain lock, provided our HP is above 3.75, which it definitely will be. Finally, we have the Shark Superb. It's a very, very high multiplier, and that way we can get a lot of damage output. Unfortunately for us, again, we're not really going to have a way to get the Zoro 5 times captain. We will be sitting at like a 4.5 times captain, I'm pretty sure it is, base rate. So it is what it is there, but I'm sure there is another way to actually get around that, and sort of just like cut your HP and whatnot. But I don't see this team having too many issues moving forward. It should have a lot of damage, probably not the highest damage output, but a lot of damage nonetheless. Alright, so moving on to the next variation now. Once again, shout out to Reddit for the information provided. We verse the Psy variation of King. Now, the Psy variation of King is going to get 15 cooldowns to Dex, Psy, and Int units, so try and bring those particular colors. And ideally, you want to bring Int units, so that way you have color affinity. On stage 2, we come up against Jack. He has 99 turns of delay immunity, but you can obviously reduce his defense. You can do like double damage. You can do all of those poisoning shenanigans. But he does have 4 turns of threshold, so you will need to be able to remove that. Against King on the final stage, we have 99 turns of full immunity, 99 turns of normal attacks only, 5 turns of resilience, and then makes all of our orbs badly matching. After stage 30, he is going to give us 6 turns of despair, as well as increase the resilience by 1 turn. I have looked that up. It does say question mark, but I have sussed out and found out that it is 1 turn of resilience as well as 6 turns of despair. So the first particular team I do have for you guys in this video today is the free-to-play team. Now, the free-to-play team is led by our boy Kizuna Kid. Kizuna Kid's awesome because he's a 3.75 times captain. He can also give us some matching orbs, but with his special, he can actually do end-of-turn damage. He can also remove threshold by 3 turns as well, which is actually really, really cool. If you can find another way to get that 1 turn of threshold, you can pop his special on turn 2, and then actually carry it into the final stage, as it is a 4-turn end-of-turn damage. We have Montador on this particular team. Again, he's a ticket booster, and he's like super effective against all types, I'm pretty sure, which is great. For this particular fight, he is, so which is really, really nice. But with this particular unit, he can rotate unfavorable slots into matching types, so that way we can actually just get a full board with him. But if you do need some more damage, you can take him off and just replace him with another unit. We do have Luffy and Boa on this particular team. They're a 2.25 times color affinity booster. They also rotate orbs, so that's another option for you guys if you do want to replace Montador on this particular team when it starts getting a little bit tricky. But because you start as a Psy variation, you always start as Luffy, you'll still get your cooldowns, as this particular fight gives Psy, Int, and Dex units cooldowns as well. So no matter what, we're going to get our cooldowns here, and we're going to get a nice chunky 2.25 times color affinity boost. We have Kobe Helmeppo on this particular team. They're going to give us attack boost against Jack, as well as remove the 4 turns of threshold and do a little bit of a HP cut, which is quite nice. Unfortunately for us, though, they only stay in their dual form for 2 turns, so they're not going to have the dual stats. But when you are a Helmeppo, you are the Int variation, so make sure you stay as that when you do get into the final stage. On the final stage as well, we are going to use the Shishilian special. So Shishilian can halve our HP, but double our INT character's attack. He also rotates slots randomly unless they are matching. So make sure that you do use your Luffy Boa special first, or actually it really doesn't matter, to be honest. Luffy Boa is going to give you matching orbs, and if you use it before, you don't have to worry about the random, and yeah, you guys get what I'm saying. With this particular team, though, we are going to be utilizing a friend Halloween Law. Halloween Law can remove 10 turns of Despair with his captain ability, so that's just going to help us out significantly, as we won't have to worry about taking that Despair. So that's the free-to-play team. Let's move on to the boosted drops team. So onto the boosted team now to get the majority of the Kizuna tickets. We are running again Kizuna Rare Recruit Perispero with a friend Kizuna Rare Recruit Perispero. With Perispero, he can actually remove Resilience by 6 turns, as well as reduce Paralysis and Bind by 6 turns, and if you have full HP, he's an attack booster as well. So he's going to be our attack booster for this particular team. We can use one of their specials on the Jack stage to get an attack boost to take out Jack, and then we can use the next one to remove the Resilience and give us an attack boost on the final stage, which is really, really nice. We have Montador once again. He's just here to rotate, block, or unfavorable orbs into matching. That's really about all he's here for, as well as getting double drops. So when this does get harder, you can easily just take him off, but for the INT variation, the Psi variation, the Psi variation does seem to be the easiest out of the 3. Next, we've got the free-to-play Croc. Now, this Croc's really, really good because he can remove Despair by 5 turns, and he gives us a chain multiplier buff. He also does a HP cut, so make sure that you use his special first, otherwise your king will heal back up. But the fact that he can remove 5 turns of Despair is mainly the main reason he's here, as well as give us a chain multiplier buff. On our Croc, we do have the Whitey Base support. Because he's a slasher, we can remove another 2 turns of Despair. That way we've got 7 turns of Despair removal. Hunky Dory Bob's your uncle, we can easily remove all of that. Next, we've got Dofi. Dofi can actually remove 2 turns of Threshold and give us Color Affinity. The fact he gives us Color Affinity is really, really good because he has double special activation. On stage 2, I always get confused there. On stage 2 against Jack, we're going to use his special to remove 2 turns of the Threshold. And with the support of Bellamy, we can actually remove 2 more turns. So we can use the Dofi special on Jack stage and then save the second special, as well as removing all turns of the 4 turns of the Threshold, and then we can actually use the Dofi special on the final stage once again to give us 1.75 times Color Affinity. So it works out really, really well, and should allow us to get a little bit more damage. On to the final unit now, we do have Halloween Law. Now, Halloween Law is just here basically because he is an orb booster. You could easily replace him with any other orb booster that you guys can think of. I just can't really think of another 2.75 times orb boost. I guess you could probably use something like Verse Big Mom would be another very good option. And use her special on the Jack stage. Ideally, you want to use this special on stage 2, very similar to the free-to-play team, and that way you get the 2.5 times orb boost as well. With the attack boost of Perispero, with the orb boost of Law, we have a 2.5 times orbs, a 2.25 times attack, a 1.75 times color affinity, as well as a 0.8 chain buff with a double 5 times captain. And the Nostra Castello, as long as we have full HP, is going to be giving us a 1.7 times attack boost. So that should work very, very well. I don't see us having many issues. And once we do, we can easily sort of sub out Montador with another unit that could possibly give us some matching orbs. Big Mom's another really good option here, as she can give us a 3.5 times chain lock and anything like that to just sort of help us out by getting a little bit more damage. So that was the high ticket team. Let's move on to the high. So moving on to the final team for the Psi variation, we are looking at the Max Damage team. And for this team, we are utilizing Halloween Law as our captain. Halloween Law is just really, really good because he can not only remove the Despair, but he can give us the Orb Boost on the Jack stage and then the 2.5 against the King stage. We are going to be using a friend Halloween Mihawk for this particular team, as Halloween Mihawk and Halloween Law both trigger each other's super typings, which is great. Mihawk can be our attack booster as well. You can use his special on turn 2 to kill Jack, and then you can carry that over as long as you hit a certain amount of perfects with the King stage. But if there's too much damage there on the Jack stage, we might need to look at sort of changing that up a little bit, or just utilizing the Mihawk special on the final stage. On to the next unit now, we do have Montador. Now, Montador is an essential for this team. We can easily replace Montador, as he's just here to rotate matching, to give us matching orbs. But with the super typing of Mihawk, we can actually do that as well. So, Montador's replaceable with another boosted unit that can just give us a little bit more damage. But for now, we are going to use him because we do want to get as many tickets as we possibly can. Next, we've got Kid on this team, very similar to the free-to-play team. He's actually here to get around the resilience. He can do that end-of-turn damage. But with this particular team, we are going to remove the threshold with Kid, as we do have the Perispero support on our Big Mom. Perispero is going to remove 2 turns of threshold, and then with Kid, we can remove 3 more. So that's going to be the 4 turns of threshold, and then that way we get the end-of-turn damage for 4 turns. I don't think King wipes away positive buffs. If King does, we are going to have to look at a different option for this. But for the meantime, I don't think there is. So we should be hunky. So I quickly just did a little bit of research, and King actually doesn't remove positive buffs. So we are absolutely fine with Kid. The next unit, as mentioned, is we do have the dual unit Big Mom. Big Mom's here for a 3.5 times chain lock. She can also give us a base stat boost, as we should be at a very high HP pool. We won't get the 1,000 because we don't have 100,000 HP, but I imagine we will get somewhere quite high, and it's just a nice little extra stat boost as well. Mainly she's here for the 3.5 times chain lock, but you could also like switch with her, get the orb boost, and then use the Law special so you don't get an orb boost for everyone. Use the Mihawk special first, and that way you can hit the 4 perfects. That might be another cheeky way to actually get both the 2.5s of Mihawk and Law available to us. And then finally, we've got Luffy and Boa once again. They're a 2.25 times color affinity boost. They're still like the strongest color affinity boost for Psy and Int, so they're going to find their way here as well. You could easily use someone like Halloween Mihawk. Halloween Shanks is for a color affinity, but with these guys and the chain lock, I do think that we are going to get a little bit more damage. So that's the high damage team. Remember, we are using Mihawk as a friend captain. So let's move on to the final variation now. So onto the final variation now. We're up against this strength typing of King, and against the Strength King we get 15 turns of cooldown reduction to our Strength Quick and Int units. On stage 2 we verse X-Drake, who has 99 turns of delay immunity and binds our bottom row for 6 turns, which will go down to 3 as long as you have max bind reduction sockets. On stage 3 we come up against King. He has 99 turns of delay, poison and defense down immunity, so he doesn't have full immunity, he's just immune to those 3 things, which is very, very good for a particular Suga that has just come out. On to the next thing that he does, he does bind to our middle row for 6 turns, and then has 4 turns of damage reduction. At level 30, he is going to apply 4 turns of defense up, and that 6 turns of bind to the middle row is actually going to become 8 turns of bind. So it should go up to a 5-turn bind after socket. So be very mindful of that, as it will become 5 turns of bind. 5, it might be 6. I'll have to double check that. But it's either 5 or 6. Either way, these teams can get around all of that. So the first team that I have for you guys is the free-to-play team. Now, this team is very, very janky, but it is utilizing a friend super type Kaido. As you guys know, there is no full immunity, which means we can get the double damage debuff against King. So we are going to be doing double damage with this particular team, and it should have just as much damage as the other teams do, even though it is a little bit non-synergized like the other one is. But our leader here is actually Treasure Map Smoker. This Treasure Map Smoker, I was building these teams on stream today, and he sort of just popped out at me as a driven leader. His captain ability is a 3.25, and he actually reduces damage to up to 40% for fighters and drivens, which is actually really, really good. He's not the highest captain multiplier, but with a friend Kaido, it's actually going to be pretty solid as 3.25, as well as a 5 times captain, and then double damage is going to do a lot. But with Smoker, he can also give us a chain buff, as well as doubling our slots for driven and fighter units. So not only is he a solid captain, but he's actually also going to give us a buff for this particular team. We have Oars. Oars is here for level 30 and above. He's purely just here to remove defense up, nothing else. He is a fighter unit, so he is going to get the orb buff, which is really, really nice. And there's not really many other free-to-play options for this particular team that are quick to actually take down defense up. So you might have to dabble in some other colors if you guys are struggling to find a defense up removal for stage 30 and above. Next, we've got Clash Zoro. Clash Zoro is our color affinity booster. You want to make sure that you use his special before you use the Orochi special, though. That way you get the 2 times color affinity to driven and slashes. This whole team is not going to get color affinity, but your captains as well as Zoro will. And he can also remove 5 turns of damage reduction. So he's really, really good here. But you could replace him with the Neo Montador to remove the damage reduction, and then maybe just use like a support to give yourself color affinity. You could probably actually use this guy as a support for color affinity for he does slashes, so kind of a little bit tricky. Next, we've got Orochi. Orochi does a lot of paralysis removal. So Orochi actually removes 8 turns of paralysis. So we are going to utilize his special on the last stage to remove the 6 turns. Oh, sorry, he does bind and paralysis removal. He does the 8 turns of bind, and that way we can get around the middle row bind reduction, which goes up to 6 turns. I'm 90% sure it's 6 turns. So it's probably 9, and then down to 6 with sockets. So either way, Orochi can remove all of that, and he can also double our driven, cerebral, and powerhouse characters' attack for 1 turn. So that's really, really good, because most of this team is actually cerebral, driven, or powerhouse, but you need to make sure that Orochi is in the bottom row. That way he's not binded. On stage 2, though, when we come up against X-Drake, Orobi is actually here to remove 3 turns of bind, so you got to make sure that she's in the middle row. That way she can remove the bind on the bottom row for this particular team. But as you can see, this whole team is all like cerebral, powerhouse, driven. So we're getting the attack boost of Orochi. We're getting the orb boosts for Smoker on this whole particular team, as well as getting the double damage from Kaido. Now, the color affinity buff that we are getting is only for driven and slashes, so mainly Zoro, Smoker, and Kaido will be hitting very, very hard. So make sure you are hitting with them last, as this team is built up around back-ended damage, as we are using a chain buff mechanic and not a chain lock mechanic. So ideally, you want to start with Orochi, hit with Orobi, hit with Oars, and then finish it off with Zoro, Smoker, and then obviously Kaido at the end. We have the Shark Superb for extra damage. It works really, really well. And with that, let's move on to the high ticket team now. So onto the high ticket team now, we are utilizing Limited Rare Recruit or Kizuna Rare Recruit Paraspero once again, as he is giving us more tickets. We are going to be running double Paraspero, which is going to work out really, really nicely. He removes 6 turns of Resilience, 6 turns of Paralysis and Bind, and if we have full HP, we get the 2.25 times attack boost. So obviously, against Stage 2 and Stage 3, we can use both our Paraspero specials. We can easily remove the bind on the middle and the bottom row, as he will be our captain. He's a 5 times captain as well, which is really, really good, and this whole team is actually cerebral and driven, which makes it very, very easy to take this particular event down. He's also super effective against all types, which is really, really nice. We have Montidor, once again, pretty much like all these teams, all the high points anyway. Montidor's here to remove the damage reduction by 4 turns, which is really, really nice. We have Tesero here. Tesero can give us a 3.25 times chain lock, which is excellent. We have 6 plus Cerebral Lore for a 2.25 times orb boost, and then we have Color Affinity 2.25 for cerebral units with our Sanji and our Pudding unit. With that, we basically have a 2.25 times attack boost, we have a 2.25 orb, 3.25 chain lock, 2.25 times color affinity, and this whole team being cerebral and driven works really, really well. The only unit that isn't cerebral is actually Tesero, but Tesero is actually still a striker unit, a driven unit, so he is still getting boosted. Unfortunately, though, he won't be receiving the orb buff, and he won't be receiving the color affinity buff, but he will still get the attack buff. But you really want to start with him first to start the chain, as you won't have the 3.25 times chain lock in the beginning. But Tesero is really, really good, being that 3.25 times chain lock. I was looking at using it Shanks crew, but he starts as a STR variation, so you don't actually get your cooldowns, which sucks. So Tesero was the next best thing. We will be utilizing the support of Onami, however, on our Sanji and Pudding. That way we can set the defense to 0. So once we get past stage 30, we can easily remove the defense up. Removing the defense up or setting it to 0 is exactly the same thing. So with the support of Onami, we can set the defense to 0, and that way we don't have to worry about that, removing that defense up. So that's the high ticket team. Let's move on to the final team in this video and have a look at the high damage output team for the strength variation. So the final team against the strength variation, and the final team for this video, is utilizing the big dog himself, super type Kaido. Now, as mentioned, there is no full immunity, and that means Kaido can actually give us the double damage debuff. Now, if you guys don't have Kaido, don't stress, because this team doesn't utilize double Kaido. It actually utilizes a friend Sugar. So if you have Sugar, you can run Sugar easily as your leader, and then bring a friend Kaido. It'll work very, very well. Kaido can give us a 5 times captain ability whenever we use his special. So obviously on the final stage, we can use his special, and then that way we can get the 5 times captain multiplier. With this team as well, we do have Montidor once again, pretty much like every other team. He can remove damage reduction by 4 turns, but again, you can replace him to get a little bit more damage moving forward. As long as it's just someone that can remove damage reduction, you will be hunky-dory. And obviously, you probably want someone that is a quick unit. That way, they're actually just getting a bigger buff from our captains. Next, we've got Okiku. Okiku has double special activation, which means that she can actually remove 4 turns of bind. We do want her in the bottom row, as we do want to use her on the final stage, as that way we can get color affinity as well by 1.75 times. But we do need the help of Whitey Bay. Whitey Bay gives us an extra 2 turns of bind reduction, and that way we can get the full 6 turns, easy peasy. Next, we've got Onami. Onami can set the defense to 0 as there is no full immunity. There's just defense down immunity. She will completely remove that, provided our HP is full. So we can't actually utilize the... we can't utilize the Moby Dick with this particular team to get the super typing of Kaido, unfortunately. Because we need to completely remove the defense down immunity, use her special, set the defense to 0, and then get the 2 times conditional boost against defense down enemies. So that way we have a conditional boost and it's going to work really, really well. And then finally we actually have Bonnie on this team. So this Bonnie is really, really good because she removes Bind and Despair by 5 turns, and then she gives us a 1.75 times attack boost to quick units and then doubles them on the next turn. So ideally we want to have her in the middle row. That way she can remove the bind on the bottom row, give us an attack boost, and then carry the 2 times into the next stage. And then Okiku, being in the bottom slot, can actually remove the bind on the middle row. And once we get past level 30, Okiku can remove that 6 turns, which is really, really good. With Sugar as our friend captain, Sugar is actually going to turn everyone into bears. Now, the beautiful thing about Sugar turning everyone into bears is we can actually get that chain buff multiplier. So we get the 0.7 added to the chain multiplier. And then we can actually activate her super typing. With her super typing, our quick units are going to do a lot more damage. And she can actually activate her super typing, which gives us a 2.25 times orb boost, which is really, really strong for this particular team. Kaido is going to give us a full board of orbs, and that way we can just easily clap King. So there you guys go. That's the treasure, wow, I keep saying treasure map. There's been so much treasure map lately. The Kizuna King prep coming up on OBTC Global. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, make sure to go down there and belt the like button for me. If you're new to the channel, hit that big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Lights!